Hey, how's everybody doing? I haven't done a video in a while. It's a long story, but those of you that watch the old videos, you sort of have an idea what's going on. I I shared a video on Twitter, and I really don't feel like doing a whole lot else right now. I'm kind of trying to rest up because I'm hoping I can go vote today. If I got a family member that said if I was unable to drive down there to vote, she'd take me like later in the day on Tuesday, but I'm gonna try and take my me and my brother to go vote. I think he's gonna vote for fucking Republican, but you know, if he wants to vote, he wants to vote. He wants to sell his country out to fucking terrorists, you know, that's his business. He's not very fucking bright. Um, you know, the worst part of it is he's on SSI disability, and he's his whole life voted for the fucking people that would rather see him die than have a handout from the government. You know, when he was married before his wife kicked him out because he seemed to get a drug addicted to pain pills. They got a house, and they got the house because they were poor with government assistance, and he still kept voting for fucking Republicans. You know, when I first got home, when I got sick, he was watching Russia Today. I mean, he's just not. I mean, he doesn't mean it. He's just not that fucking smart, and that's not because of everything that's going on with his health right now. He's been dumb his whole fucking life, but um, there's that going on. But there was a video I watched, and I'm not going to go through the whole spiel on the splash screen. We'll just uh, but the topic on this one here, I saw a video. It's from Midas Touch, and he's got a great channel. I'm not even gonna, put a link to the video. Go to his channel, check out his videos. I watch a lot of his stuff. He makes a lot of good stuff. But he did a video, and it was kind of backing up something that I was wondering. And the guy he had on there is way smarter than me, which is why I want to share the video. But before I share the video, I'm just gonna load up the video. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna find the spot I want to talk about. I'm gonna get there, and then I'm gonna basically talk about the stuff that I was thinking of, and because I don't like to just copy these videos and profit from it. I like to talk about it. I like to put my input into it. So just bear with me for a second. Okay, I just want to set this is the Midas Touch podcast, and I think they did an ad. I'm not entirely sure if it's the same group, but I watch these guys a lot. I just found them earlier this year. I don't know if they were on and I didn't know them. But I kind of put these guys into the category with like Glenn Kirshner, of being a very useful person to watch if you want to know what's really going on. Well, this is the thing that I was kind of going on. I remembered when that referendum vote in Kansas happened. Uh, Afterwards, and you had even some top Republicans, that they were no longer in office, or they just worked behind, their strategist, or they'd run campaigns. And there was one of these Republicans. It might even been Morning Joe. I can't remember who it was, but they had said that if this can happen in Kansas, they were saying that the uh, the Roe v. Wade thing might be a toxic issue for Republicans in something like 40 of the 50 states, maybe more, because they were saying that Kansas. I mean, there was years ago. I can't remember who wrote the book, but somebody wrote a book. What's wrong with Kansas, or what's the matter with Kansas? And it was talking about how toxic and fucking stupid the Republican Party was. And I think it was written by a former Republican or a current Republican. Um, but I might be wrong on that. But I know there were some Republicans that put out like, oh, I think her name was Whitmer. She was a former Republican governor. I think she was from Kansas. She put out a book, It's My Party Too. When these radicals start, and Kansas was one of the first ones that fell. And they were saying that, if Kansas can't even back, making abortions legal, most of the country won't back it because they're so far to the right. It'd be like Mississippi, going, or Alabama. These are pretty far right states. And if they won't go there. Then you've got these more moderate Republican states won't go there either. That was their view of it. And I remember when someone, and again, it was another Republican, it was on that side of the fence, they were shocked and they said, this is weird because they go, the polling before this showed that they were going to win. They were either going to be slightly ahead or they were going to be, they were either going to be a couple points ahead or they're going to be 5 to 10 points ahead. That's where the polling was, depending on what polling you looked at. And you also had all those referendum votes. Like the one I'm aware of was in New York, but it was all these special elections. And there were at least a couple of them that they made a big deal out because they were heavily Republican areas. And in these special elections, they went for Democrats. And the polling didn't, if I remember right, the polling did not show that either. And the thing I was wondering, well, if the polling was wrong on that, maybe they're wrong on this whole election cycle. And I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. And but that was always my thought. It's like, well, look, they got it wrong in Kansas. Maybe they got it wrong in Georgia and Warnock. And then I don't know if it was this guy on here because I'm just going to show a clip of this video. I'm going to show a little clip setting it up, and then I'm going to go I'll probably talk a little bit, and then I'm going to find another section that I want to air on here. And I can't remember if it was this guy or if it was someone else, but somebody said, I think it was this guy, but I'm not 100% sure. But somebody had made the comment that they're looking in Georgia and they were seeing polling that suggested that there are people that are going to split their ticket. And there were, it ended up being around 10 or 11% in total, but there was like about half of them, they were going to vote for the governor and then they were going to vote for Warnock because they saw, Herschel Walker is just horrible and just incompetent, unfit for office, yada, yada, yada. And then the other half of them were going to vote for the governor, but they were going to do a write in. They were going to write in or just leave it blank. They were not going to vote for him. He goes, now that's 11%. And he goes, the data he had, whoever it was like, and he goes, I don't know. But he goes, the data I'm seeing is there could be like 11% of the vote that is not going to vote for any. He goes, and I'm not seeing this in any of the polling right now, but he goes, that's the information we're getting when we've done our like little investigation into this. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up and run this tape. Just give me a second.
Yeah, and this is, it's sort of a tragedy in some ways, and it's a reflection of just how illiberal and anti-democratic the Republican Party has become, which is that there's clearly a purposeful campaign to try to game the polling averages and to create an impression that there's a red wave. As you said, I've been doing this for 17 election cycles, and so I've seen it all, in terms of what Republicans do. But what they're doing now with the polling averages and is only in 7 states, by the way. It's not universal. There's a 7-state concentrated effort to game the polling averages. And also, I think it's beginning to kick in on national numbers, too. I mean, they've dropped 6 national tracks in the last 2 days of polling. And in the states, what you're seeing is just literally a torrent, a flood of these kind of obscure polling outfits dropping polls in states that they don't have any traditional experience in. And now in 7 of the battleground states, more than half of the polls taken in October are from Republican firms or Republican organizations, which means that the averages now have been corrupted and polluted, and we can't really trust any, either on 538 or Real Clear Politics, any of the state averages. I'm worried that it is beginning to happen with the national average too. But it's just like, and look, what does it mean? It means that they're not confident of winning. I mean, if they have to spend millions of dollars trying to persuade everybody that the election is better than it is, you only do that if you're not winning. And so this is a sign of desperation to me in some ways. But it's had an impact. I mean, we all know it's had an impact, right? I mean, there's been several weeks of kind of, you've been dealing with it. People are kind of down. They think the election's slipping away from us. We've had all those headlines. A lot of this has been manufactured. It may end up being true. It just isn't true not all the data is pointing in the same direction. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, I don't have to do another cut. That's what I wanted to get out of this. And I mean, it's a very good video. And like I said, I'm not going to give you the link to the video. It's Midas Touch. You can see it up there in the screen. Let me see if I can this over a little bit. Yeah, it's Midas Touch. You want to go to his channel. He's got a couple videos out today. Like he did one video where he is talking about how the courts have appointed a special master or overseer. I don't know the exact title, but there's basically a watchdog who will be in charge now of what is going on at the Trump organization, to keep him from funneling money away from Trump org to Trump org.2 so that he won't have to pay the fines and stuff. They have done that. He's got another video about what appears to be a frivolous lawsuit that Trump is filing against the Attorney General of New York. But this is what I wanted to talk about is when I saw this video yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It was yesterday, the day before. And this guy was talking about he's seeing this data in 7 states and he thinks it's corrupting the national averages. The only thing I want to say is I would rather have Democrats think that the election might be lost to encourage them to get out, because I just want to say, like in the 2016 election when Hillary should have won, in my honest opinion, that election was stolen. Hillary won that. When you look at the 2 or 3 times that Comey sabotaged her campaign as the FBI director. And when you look at the $30 million that I think it was reported that Russia smuggled like $30 million into RNC hands so they could spend it on elections. Not to mention Malcolm Nance basically identified what he saw as an intelligence operation by Russia or somebody connected to Russia, because he said he used to run stuff like this. And he would break down how, well, you had like the same talking points from Republicans that you had from Russia state media. And I am positive that that thing was stolen. And in a fair and honest world, if we had Democrats that would fight like they should, if they would fight for real crimes the way Republicans want to fight for fake and imaginary crimes, I think that election would be ripped from Trump. Everybody he appointed would be ripped from office. And I firmly believe that with George Bush Jr., because you had the Supreme Court that ruled, they ruled that, we had to stop counting. And there was a lawyer that broke it down. He goes, well, what they effectively said, he goes, it's written a lot differently, but what they're basically intending is that we have to stop counting the votes in Florida, because if they find out Gore had more votes, President Bush, President-elect Bush would be disenfranchised because he'd already been named like the president-elect. Well, that's what's supposed to happen. If somebody gets more votes, they're supposed to win. That's just the way it works. And they also set it up so that it was a one-time ruling. It did not apply to other cases. And then you look at the modern day Supreme Court where they are overturning, Roe v. Wade. They are overturning a court ruling like from 100 years ago on a gun law. Well, if there's a court ruling they want to overturn, they could overturn that one that stole the election from Gore, and then we could remove everybody he appointed. But we don't have Democrats that'll fight like that. They don't appoint people to courts that will fight like that will look at it honestly and go, well, yeah, if we're going to start overturning Supreme Court decisions, let's overturn that one that stole the election from Gore, and let's fix that. Um, but yeah, that's what I wanted to go. And like I said, go check out this guy's channel because he is far better at this, and I really enjoy watching his channels. Hang on one second. Leave all your comments down below. I'm just not doing a lot of videos. Again, if you've watched some of my older videos, I've kind of explained it. I want to thank everybody. As this goes forward, I want to thank everybody and everyone that helped me out. The likes that I've gotten on YouTube, or the subscriptions I've gotten on YouTube, the people that have followed me on Twitter. I cannot thank you enough. If I get a chance, if I'm in the mood, I will do another one later. But thank you very much, and I hope everybody has a great day.